Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to yet another video. It is Codebreaker Gaming back with another Tekken 8 X-Men 97 customization video, and this series has been inspired by X-Men 97, now streaming on Disney Plus. For those of you who have not had a chance to check that out, you need to do so immediately. It is absolute fire. But all that aside, in today's customization video, we're going to be creating a character who is very, very popular in the X-Men universe. Sometimes slept on, but very popular nonetheless. Ladies and gentlemen, today we'll be creating the Raging Cajun Remy LeBeau, better known by his X-Men name as Gambit. So without any further delay, let's jump into this customization. Alright, so for starters, you're going to want to have a character named Claudio Serafino selected for this customization. That is the requirement in terms of the character that you must be using. As you can see, I have Claudio Serafino selected here on stage, or here on screen, should I say. So for starters, let's start making these changes. In the top menu, we're on body. We're going to go into body. We're going to select hair. And you have two different hairstyles you can use to complete the customization of Gambit. You could either rock the short curtain haircut, as you can see, but that's not the one I'm going to use. Now, for those of you who think this looks better for Gambit, you're free to use it. The one I'm going to use is the heroic shortcut. I think this is a little bit more fitting to Gambit, him being a Cajun from Louis hairstyle, and the highlights in it. I love it. So after you've selected the heroic shortcut, we're going to back out and we're going to go to eyes. We're going to give Gambit the devil eyes. As you guys know, Gambit has the black irises with the red pupils. Now for facial hair, we are going to give Gambit the bearded man style goatee. I don't know why they call it a goatee, but that's what it's called. And I think this suits Gambit pretty well. You could also, if you choose to, keep him clean shaven. But I kind of like this look here, especially because we won't be able to put the head sleeve on him, or whatever it's called, you know, the thing he wears over his head that only his face and his hair is showing. We don't have that option just yet, so I think the beard actually looks great and kind of helps create the illusion of that. We're not going to change his eyebrow color. There will be no makeup on his face, no face paint, and we're not going to tan him either. So then we'll back out and go back to the top menu. We'll come down to clothes. Now under clothes, we're not going to put anything on his head because that will change the hairstyle that we have selected back to his default hairstyle, and we don't want that. Okay. There will be nothing on his face. And there will be no glasses on Gambit either. Okay. Now this is where the customization really begins to take place. You go to entire body, and as you can see, Claudio's default is his Tekken 8 style player 1, but we're going to be using his Tekken 7 style, and I'll select that now. Okay. Just spin them around so you guys know what his Tekken 7 style looks like. I'm not sure what the unlock requirement was for the Tekken 7 style. I think it may have just been a simple purchase with the fight money. I can't recall. Now that you have the Tekken 7 style selected, we're going to push triangle, and we're going to begin swapping out these color palettes so the customization can reign true. So for color palette number 1, we're going to change that to brown, this darker one here. This other one is a little bit too light, so we're going to use the darker one. Well, you know, I'll tell you what, Let's see how it looks with the lighter one, and if we want to swap it later on, then we will. So we'll go with the lighter brown now. Okay. Color palette number 2. Let's see what that is actually. That is his undershirt, and you guys already know. We're gonna make that this pinkish color you see here. For color palette number 3, that is his pants. And we're gonna make color palette number 3 black. So just to go over, once again, color palette number 1, as you can see, is the brown at the bottom. Color palette number 2 is gonna be this fuchsia. As you can see, it is the second from the last column. And color palette number 3 will be black, just to bring you guys up to speed. Now, color palette number 4, let's see what that actually is. That is actually the sleeve on his, or the wrap, should I say, on his right arm. We're going to make that match his actual coat. So we're going to use that same color palette brown to give the illusion that it is a full sleeve. Okay. Now moving right along to color palette number 5. That is actually his gloves, as well as the actual dress shirt that he has underneath the vest. So this is where things get a little tricky, but I'm gonna make it work. So Gambit has a kind of like a blue plate, chest plate or something that he wears. So instead of making this fuchsia to where it'll create the one piece look, we can also have the option of making it royal blue, like so. And royal blue is actually the color we're going to use for color palette number 5. You see that? Now it affects his gloves as well as his dress shirt, which was kind of strange that his gloves didn't have their own color palette like most other characters do, but it is what it is. So once again, color palette number 5 is going to be this royal blue. Now moving along to color palette number 6, let's change it white to see what it is. That is actually the tie that he has untied around his neck, as well as his t-shirt. Why is it taking up 2 slots? Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to make this fuchsia to match his vest, and it actually camouflages the fact that there's even a tie there. So color palette number 6 and 2 are both fuchsia in color. Moving along to color palette number 7, let's take a look at what that is. Let's make it white. What is it? Okay, color palette number 7 is his boots, and those are going to be royal blue as well, the same royal blue that we used for his gloves and his dress shirt. Okay. Moving along to color palette number 6, which is already black, and I do believe that's the top of his boots. Indeed it is. So what we're going to do here is we're going to make that fuchsia to provide a little bit of color balance to Gambit. Now we could have made that also royal blue, and then you just have a solid blue color, which would have been great if the boot actually came up to about his knee. But since it doesn't, we'll go ahead and throw some different color drip in there with this fuchsia. Okay, moving along to color palette number 9. Now that is in white. Let's see what it actually is. Perhaps it's okay. So color palette number 9 is actually the emblem on his back. We want to camouflage this, so we're going to turn it brown to match his jacket, or should I say his trench coat. Now it's not exactly the same. We're using the same color palette brown, but it didn't match, so you see. So we're gonna go ahead and use that because it has that kind of metallic gloss look to it. They didn't get exact, but this is what we're going to use for color palette number 9. The same brown that we use for his trench coat. Now for color palette number 10, I do believe that is the details around that emblem. Let's take a look. We're going to turn that brown also. And now it is effectively hidden or camouflaged as much as possible. So for color palette number 10 and 9, they will be the same color brown as his jacket or trench coat for color palette number 1. And moving right along to color palette number 11, that is in white. Let's take a look at what it is. Okay, color palette number 11 is actually his belt. Now, I do believe Gambit's belt, if I'm not mistaken, is royal. Let's take a look at fuchsia, but I'm pretty sure it is royal. So we're going to change his belt to royal. As you can see there, we can take a look at it. You can spin them around, make sure the belt is the only thing that got affected by that. And as you can see, we are really shaping up to see Gambit here thus far. Now moving along to color palette number 11. I'm sorry, number 12. Now that is a very pretty color. I want to call this pewter. Let's see what it affects. So it is actually affecting his rope. And we're going to turn this simply to provide balance to him. We're going to make this fuchsia as well. Now you could make it brown to kind of camouflage it, you see? And that actually looks, you know what? Instead of fuchsia, let's make it brown. Because now it kind of camouflages the fact that there's even a rope there. As you can spin them around, it's visible, but because it's all the same color palette, it makes it a little camouflage, almost as if it's not there, and that's what we want. Alright, and for color palette number 13, which is gray in color, let's see what that actually is. That is the details inside of his collar. We're going to make that brown, same color as his jacket or trench coat. I don't know why I want to keep saying jacket today. And that is color palette number 13. Now moving to color palette number 14, we're also going to make that brown. I do believe that is the white detail in his jacket. As you can see, it is. Let's make it the same color brown. And now you've effectively camouflaged those details. So we're going to go ahead and select that brown color for color palette number 14. For color palette number 15, I do believe that is the subtle details around the outlining of his jacket. As you can see, it's pewter. Let's make sure, let's turn it white and see what happens. Indeed, that is what it is. Now, this is where you can use your own discernment. Okay, you can make it white and it will look outstanding white, as you can see here. You can make it black if you choose. You see? Or you can leave it as a default color, pewter. I personally think white really sets it on fire. Let's take a look at it in brown as well. Oh, this is a tough decision to make, man. It is tough. I'll tell you guys what. For the purposes of this video, oh my gosh, this is tough because I do like the way it looks with the white. I really do. It gives it a little bit more flair, a little bit more modern flair, I guess. So I'm gonna use white. Okay. Now you guys can use If you want to stay as true as possible to Gambit, you want to use this brown color. You definitely do. You could also leave it as the default pewter color, but I'm rocking the white. I want my Gambit to be more modern, so I'm rocking the white. So for color palette number 15, use your own discernment. You can make it brown if you like. I'm gonna do white. Give them a quick spin around, and moving along to color palette number 16, which is also pewter in color. You can make that white, and that is going to be what? Oh, wait a minute, something else turned white. Okay, I know it was his cuff, but it looks like it was also like some little small detail underneath his left rib. Let's you know what? To keep with the theme of the white trim, color palette number 16, I'm also going to make white. And moving along to color palette number 16, which is something that is silver in color. It looks like it is something on the top of his boots, which is, it's strange that they didn't lump that particular thing in with the remainder of his boot. I don't see a big deal to change color palette number 17, so we're going to keep that as the default color of gray. And that is actually the last color palette, and as you guys can see, we have effectively created the Raging Cajun Remy LeBeau, better known as Gambit, the Xmen who has the ability to charge any object with kinetic explosion abilities. Outstanding. So we're going to press circle, go back to the top menu. We're not going to put anything on the upper body or lower body or change the shoes, because as you guys know, when you're using a skin, if you select any custom part, it will default to the entire outfit. So we're going to press circle again to go back to the top menu. We'll give it one more spin. And now that that's done, we're going to come in here to the accessories. And we'll go to accessory number 1. And the accessory you want to give Gambit is this thing down here called the Naginata. And that is actually like the equivalent of the bow staff that Gambit fights with. We'll confirm it. We'll press triangle to swap the colors. You guys can already see the colors are already intact. We'll make his bow staff black for color palette number 1, and for color palette number 2 we'll also make that black. And now you have Gambit and his bow staff. Now for color palette number, for accessory number 2, and this is solely up to you guys, simply because we know Gambit is, you know, Cajun, you know, from Louisiana, pretty cool guy. I'm gonna put this on him, and you guys may or may not agree with it. The gemstone earrings, I think those will look kind of dope on him. The unfortunate thing about this is that we can only put it in one ear, because we are using the other accessory slot for his bow staff. Okay, so once we select it, you have it on his left ear, and as you guys can see, we'll have to zoom in to actually see how far off the ear that actually is, right? It's kind of weird. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually affix this to his ear by moving it back. And as you can see, by doing so, by putting that all the way down to a 50, we've gotten it pretty close to his ear. We're not going to move it up or down. We will move it. Well, it looks like It looks like if we move it, wow, that sucks. So I guess that's the best we can do because we can't move it front. There's no point in rotating it. I tell you what, because we can't get this thing to affix properly to his ear, we're going to take it out of there completely. Yeah, that was kind of strange. But as you guys can see, it was a pretty dope recreation of Gambit. So we're going to push circle to come back to the top menu. We'll go to other now. You guys can use the character panel that you prefer. I actually like the illustration by Wolf Marker because that can actually be an illustration of Gambit, or it can be Claudio. Now for his aura, this is putting the finishing touches on this customization. Now we know Gambit's mutant ability is to charge matter, any object, with his kinetic explosion ability. Okay, so, and we all know that when he charges things up, it creates that kind of fuchsia looking color that you see on his vest. So what I'm going to use for his aura, you guys could use this one here, the purple extreme arm aura. Looks like this, but I think the better looking option would be the purple aura. As you can see, it's kind of like it's powering up his body, because it's not like Gambit only uses his arm or his hand to charge kinetic ability. He can charge anything that he touches with any part of his body that is exposing skin. So I've used the purple aura. I think that is the best option for the finishing touch. We'll come back to the top menu. For his hit effect, I like to use the feather, which is gold and purple. Best option. Some of you may be tempted to use the comic book effect in English. As you said, it says wham pow. They also have it in Hangul. I understand not what it says, but I assume it also says wham pow in Hangul. And then we have it in Japanese as well. And I assume once again that it also reads wham pow in Japanese. I don't want my Gambit to be too comic booky, so I've elected to use the feather gold and purple. Once you selected that, we're going to come back here to the model viewer. I'm going to change his background to background number 2. And now that aura really pops off of him really nicely. For his pose, he only has 2 options. Here's his second pose. And this kind of looks like a pose that you might see Gambit actually do. So I'm going to use pose number 2. And then we want to shoot his, oh my gosh. Pose number 2. Thank you very much. We're going to shoot his thumbnail. You can hold R2 to zoom in. Hold L2 to zoom out. Push in the touchpad and use the left stick to move the frame. And you can push X when you're satisfied with the frame. We're not going to use that one because he was blinking, but we will use this one. And we'll use this image as the customization slot thumbnail. This will be the picture you will see when you are selecting him from the custom costumes. And now that that is done, you can come on down here to finish editing, and ladies and gentlemen, you have now effectively created Remy LeBeau, the Raging Cajun known as Gambit from X-Men 97 here in Tekken 8. For those of you who are fans of Gambit, I am sure you love this customization. If you do, do me a favor and tap that like button endlessly to let me know that you appreciate this customization. Drop a comment in the comment section letting me know how good of a customization job of Gambit this actually is. And for those of you who have not already done so, please take this time to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you enjoy this content, make sure you have your notifications turned on so you'll be notified immediately when the next Tekken 8 Xmen 97 series customization video drops here on the channel. Presently, we have Cyclops, we have Wolverine in his yellow suit, as well as Jubilee. This here will be Gambit, and we will be bringing more Xmen 97 customizations here to the channel and some alternate costumes for a few of the characters that we have already created. This has been Codebreaker Gaming. I want to thank you guys for joining me for this Tekken 8 Xmen 97 character customization video. YouTube wants you to take a look at the video at the bottom right hand of your screen, or the one in the upper left hand corner, and quite possibly, if you enjoy this playlist, the lower left hand corner as well. Codebreaker Gaming is now signing out, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.